Hey, Bestie.
So this episode, we wanted to do something, once again, a little different. We're doing a lot of different episodes recently. But since it is going to be the first week of February as we are posting this, we wanted to do a Black History Month episode. Woo-hoo! And as you can very clearly tell, I am white. So that makes things a little interesting. Luca's not white, but Luca's also not black. So, welcome to the Black History Month episode. We will start out as per usual with names and pronouns. Who is going first?
I guess I'll go first.
I was like, I don't care.
Okay, so I'm Katie. I go by she, her.
I'm Jay. I go by they, them.
I'm Luca. Whatever.
And then I'm Kayleigh. I go by she, her. I guess they, them's fine. Whatever. I don't really care. So the first thing that we had wanted to, I guess, discuss is being Black and queer. Because that is, an intersection that's not really looked at as much. And obviously Luca and I don't have experience with being Black and queer. Plenty of experience being queer, just not the Black part. So I guess, I don't know. Luca, do you have any specific questions, or do we just want to be like, hey, what's it like?
I'm not sure. I just know that different, obviously race and culture affect all things differently and how other people do them.
Yeah.
We can talk about how it affects you guys so far in your lives. You guys are both 21, right?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess for me, so my dad's side of the family is my Black side, and it's not talked about at all. I don't know if it's because my family just doesn't talk about relationships or that stuff, but when my brother came out, my dad didn't tell anyone. He just was like, oh, if you find out, you find out. And then for me too, I'm just well, I don't really have to talk about it, so I do it. And yeah, I remember for the most part, the people I know are all okay with it. I know people who are homophobic in the community.
Yeah. I don't know, because my dad has this idea of a picture perfect family, and they're all straight cis people.
Mm-hmm.
And he's when Black people come out, it ruins the community, and we already have a bad look to our name and all this stuff. And so for me, it was kind of hard to figure out who I was, because anything that wasn't a cis straight person was just not okay. So I was oh, well, clearly I'm just supposed to like guys, and that's just it. That's the norm. Liking girls is not supposed to be a thing. So I guess for me, it was kind of just going to college and being on my own, or just going to an all-girls school where I don't know, it was more talked about, because it was well, the stereotypical, oh, you go to an all-girls school, you're gonna come out liking girls. And so I guess, I don't know. It's weird.
No, that totally makes sense. I definitely I relate more to Katie, but I totally I'm understanding where you're coming from too.
It's always funny to me how they're oh yes, we'll put you in this all girls highly Christian school to protect you from these bad influences.
Right. it's kind of like the stereotype. When my grandmother was a kid, it was all the Catholic girls come out pregnant. It's just like what you're not really supposed to do, so you're gonna do it more. whether it's something that you can choose or not, like.
And then not only do you guys have that unique experience, but Jay also has the unique experience of being Black, queer, and disabled. So you just got all of the things there.
All the issues. I mean, I don't know, because like I have like all the mental issues and the physical issues, and it's like it's weird because like there's already like a bad stigma around like mental health, and then I'm Black and there's already bad stigma around me anyway, so then that's a whole thing. And then like with all of my physical issues, I feel like every time I turn around I'm getting diagnosed with something else, and everyone's like, oh well, like, you know, you're Black, so like the doctors and nurses don't really care about you, which sometimes very much true, and I like get scared when I have to go to the hospital. I'm like, they're gonna kill me. But like sometimes like I feel like a lot of the physical issues, at least that I've been like diagnosed with recently, I feel like I could have found out earlier, but like when I go to the hospitals, I feel like they kind of just try to get me like in and out, and so they don't really do like all the tests that they could do like then and there. And I feel like that also makes me spend a lot more money than I need to, because they could have just been like done and taken care of, and like I wouldn't have to worry about it. But now it's like it's bad because they waited, and they're like, no, you're fine. And I'm like, but I'm not, but okay. So
You also way to go.
don't put me out there like that.
That is part of
Don't call me out like that.
Yeah, there is a huge stigma just in all of those areas, and
Yeah.
we've all really like seen that, especially.
Yeah, like I know statistically, like Black women who are pregnant are a lot more likely to like die in a hospital just because medical professionals don't think Black people experience pain the same way or something like that. Like that's weird. It's just weird. It's a weird thing. I don't know if they're taught that or if they just think that for some reason, but
Yeah, and then mental health, I mean, it's generally stigmatized, but I have also heard and seen, you know, with friends and stuff, that it is a lot more stigmatized among people of color.
yeah.
And then Luca, you wanted to talk about Colin Kaepernick.
So I recently watched a show on Netflix called Colin in Black and White. There was a lot of really cool topics discussed on it. I'm sorry, I did not prepare very well.
In here, I'm typing out 2 pages.
But basically, Colin Kaepernick was a football player. I don't think he's a football player currently. Like, I think he's still. I don't think he's like allowed it. But he was kneeling during the national anthem to bring awareness to brutality and the equality in America. And there were a few other people, like other NFL people, who were supporting him and doing the mean for it. Him and one other player basically kicked off the NFL. I'm not sure what race the other person was, but he was allowed eventually back into the NFL. I want to say last year or something like that. But Colin's still not allowed back, and he's been petitioning that because it's just discrimination. He was just kneeling for something that he believed in, and that everybody should believe in. And a lot of people were saying when he did this that it's a place and time situation, but it's really not. has the platform to speak out and he's going to, it's like when I work at like McDonald's or wherever, and they're like, leave your depression out the door. Like, that's not gonna happen. You're not just gonna leave like your experiences out the door when you go to work. Especially when you have such a big platform to be able to speak and let people know how you're feeling. And a lot of people were also saying that was disrespectful to veterans, but a lot of veterans were supporting him. And it had nothing to do with veterans. It was completely irrelevant to veterans. It was about a race situation and like inequality. Veterans, if they basically fought for his right to do that. So if they don't support it, then they can just shut up about it. And that's my opinion.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you had on Colin Kaepernick?
Not really. I do definitely recommend going to watch his show. It's very beautifully done. Like, I really like the way that they filmed it. They had like, so they have a I don't want to say that it's a like a drama documentary, but like it kind of is. Like, they have like someone like an actor and kids and stuff acting as him like when he was a kid, and then they have him popping in to like explain things and narrating, and then they have him talking about like history and bringing up like figures in history. It's pretty cool. I like the way that they brought all those things together.
Yeah, it was really well done. And I did just want to make a point really quick with like people saying like, oh, like he should have just left that off the field, like he shouldn't have brought that on the field. It's his skin color. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you can't leave that at the fucking door. Like,
Right. I didn't mean to like compare that to like depression. It was just the way that I related to it. But yeah, but like you can't leave your skin color just out the door. Like, that's not something you can do. And like, you're already being discriminated against on and off the field. So
it's a little ridiculous that they just expect people to just be like, I'll think about that later.
right. And they're also saying it like most of us in school didn't sit for the Pledge of Allegiance and not say the Pledge of Allegiance at school for the same reason. I definitely did that. Not sure if my family will appreciate that when they hear that, but I definitely didn't put my hand over my heart. I didn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance all the time. I never said it.
I only stood with
I didn't support it. Yeah.
So coming off of Colin Kaepernick, we also wanted to talk about Yolanda Renee King. I sent you guys like a little clip of her speaking earlier, and I was legitimately in tears. Like, I was like crying because she just like, she speaks so wonderfully, and she's cute as hell as well. Like, that's not important at all, but she's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. She's adorable. So she was born on May 25th, 2008 to Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King. She is currently the only grandchild of the late Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Her parents named her after her aunt, Yolanda King. She was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and she recalls that she didn't realize when she was younger how significant her family was until she was right around 9 years old in 4th grade, and she said it just clicked into place for her one day. She started learning and hearing more things about what her grandparents had done, and she was inspired not just by, you know, her grandfather, but she was also inspired by her grandmother. A lot of people don't know this. I didn't know much about Coretta Scott King, but she was an activist, just like her late husband had been. And not only did she fight for racial equality, voting rights, and women's rights, but she also campaigned for LGBTQ rights and to end apartheid. So she was all around an amazing woman. She would always say that she didn't want to be seen as just one thing. She wanted to be more than just an activist. She wanted to be seen as, a wife, a mother, all of these different things. And honestly, Yolanda looks just like her grandmother. It's kind of scary. Like she's like a carbon copy of her. It's ridiculous. And she said that she has even, not only does she see her grandmother when she looks in the mirror, but she has seen her in her dreams as well. She said that she had one dream where her grandmother was hugging her and whispering, "You're fulfilling the legacy. Keep on going." And she said that when she woke up, she just felt like her face wet with tears because she was crying. She has followed in her grandparents' footsteps. She's been an activist for voting rights, if I can speak. She's been an activist for voting rights, gun violence, and climate change. And most importantly, she just wants genuine equality. Shortly following the Parkland shooting in 2018, she gave a speech about putting an end to gun violence. And I just wanted to put in this quote from the speech. She said, "My grandfather had a dream that his 4 little children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream that enough is enough, and that this should be a gun-free world, period." When she grows up, she hopes to be an international human rights lawyer so she can help people at not just a national level, but a global one. And she has spoken out against people using her grandfather's legacy and then not putting action behind it. In a Teen Vogue op-ed article that was written by her and published in November of 2021, she wrote, "We need Congress to do everything within its power to pass voting rights legislation so that we can cast our vote now or in a few short years. We need President Biden to put the full weight of his presidency behind this effort. There's no cause greater than this before us. And if politicians insist on using my grandfather's words in front of the cameras, then we must insist they live up to his legacy and be willing to put everything on the line for one of our most fundamental rights." Despite being very outspoken and, an incredible activist at just 13 years old, she does want people to see her as more than just one thing, just as her grandmother had wanted. She said, "I want them to know I'm a student, I'm a daughter, I'm a niece, I'm a granddaughter. I'm all of that." I honestly am so inspired by this little 13-year-old girl. I could never. 13 years old. Are you kidding me?
I can barely speak now. I don't.
I can barely do class presentations, let alone present in front of a crowd. Like,
I'm getting stressed out just getting my my homework that I'm gonna be getting this semester.
But in her speeches, she does kind of fumble over her words and stumble a little bit. But I mean, she's 13 years old. Like, how can you?
Yeah.
I would not be able to speak in front of thousands of people and not like fall into a ball of what the hell is wrong with me.
Right. And I also think like the idea of not stuttering or anything like that while you're giving a speech is a little bit ableist too. So like, because like she may only be doing it because she's 13. I don't know like what she's got going on, but like stuttering and whatever doesn't like inhibit your like, or not inhibit, but like that's not the word I'm looking for. But you know what I mean. Like it doesn't ruin what you're saying.
Some people just have speech issues.
Yeah.
And even though she is like stumbling in a couple of places, like I was still crying. I highly recommend for anyone watching this to look up one of her speeches. It's absolutely beautiful. I first found out about her. Everyone's gonna laugh at me. I first found out about her watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. There was an episode where Kim took North to I don't remember what, but she took North to a march, and she was there and she was speaking, and God, she was probably, I don't know, 10 at the time. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is incredible. Like, first of all, I didn't know that Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King had grandkids. I mean, she is their only grandchild. I don't know if there is a potential that there might be more someday, but I feel like the kids are probably, like, their direct children are probably too old to be having kids at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they're too old for that, but like I think they're physically too old.
Like medically, a little bit too.
Yeah, a little too late. But I really look forward to seeing where she goes in the future. She, I don't think I included this, but she said that she believes that this is the generation that will take it from me to we. So she feels that this generation is going to make a lot of change. And she said that our generation will be fighting for equality and for like generations to come, basically, that we're going to make a huge difference. Kind of proud that she's in our generation, not gonna lie. Like, she's already a boss. Like, what's next? So yeah, I'm looking forward to see where she goes.
Yeah, she definitely is following in her grandparents' footsteps.
Mhm.
I definitely think that if they are, if like, heaven, all of the afterlife, all of that is the thing, I definitely think that they are looking down on her very proud.
Yeah.
And
I also like that thing that she said about like Biden and like everybody always using her grandfather as like an example, but nobody ever actually cares about anything he said. Like, they just kind of, like, white people like to use him as like, oh well, he was peaceful, he like wanted peace and all this kind of stuff, to belittle the way other people, I want to say activize, but activize is not a word. But like the way that they like go about doing stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was peaceful, but they still killed him.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's not a good argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did really appreciate that, and that's why I really wanted to include that, because a lot of people do use Martin Luther King Jr. and his speeches and everything that he did to be like, do it peacefully and you'll make change happen.
And it's always like racist people that say that too. Like, they're always just doing it to like silence people of color and Black people. Like, was there anything else that you guys wanted to bring up? Any like people you wanted to talk about or anything like that?
I'm trying to think. You're the one who talks about it the most.
That's because that's all I was allowed to talk about when I was younger. It was like all the Black people that did anything in history, and there was a whole wall dedicated to it in my house. And every Friday I had to learn about someone new in the Black community. And not that it was a bad thing, but it was like, Dad, I get it. I'm Black. Cool.
It's like, it's cool that he like taught you that, but also it's a lot for little kids sometimes. It kind of like pushes you away from it a little bit if you're forced to do it too much.
I remember like being in elementary school and middle school, and for Black History Month, both of those schools would have like my elementary school had the middle schoolers dress up as different people in Black history. And like you would go around and they would have a button next to them and you would press the button and they would tell you about that person. and my middle school just had the little kids like do all the research themselves and dress up as that person.
That was actually one of my always my favorite projects. We didn't do it for Black History Month. I think we dressed up as like people from like our own cultures, which was pretty cool. But like I always thought that was really like a cool idea.
Yeah.
I do think it's a bit odd to have little white kids dress up as like people from Black history, but as long as they're not doing blackface, then we're good.
Yeah,
It's the thought that counts, I guess.
my schools were majority Black, so.
Oh, okay.
That's a little better because I was sitting here and I was like, they had little 8 and 9-year-old white kids
in Black neighborhoods. So. But like, also like in middle school, we would for Martin Luther King's birthday, we would put on this little play going through different moments during the civil rights movement, and then they would always end it with the "I Have a Dream" speech, and they made sure we understood like the purpose of us doing it and how important Martin Luther King was.
That's really cool, actually. I wish my school did more stuff like that.
Yeah, it was more like, oh, he had a dream and everything was fine after that, except they killed him.
Great. He got arrested a couple times, but we'll just breeze over that.
I really think it was because like majority of the kids in my school were Black, and for my middle school we had a Black principal, so that makes it better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone out here growing up with culture, and I'm just like, I just learned from everyone else. It's fine. School taught me nothing. It's okay. I'm like, I know Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about all we're taught at school. We do talk a little bit about Malcolm X, but like they don't really want us to learn about him. I'm
like, oh yeah, Harriet Tubman. That's another one.
Oh yeah.
There we go. That's what we do. And yes, our education is
hopefully kids nowadays I think are learning a lot more, and then like the generation after that I think they're going to learn about like some of these current activists that are going on. There's a lot, I don't know if there's a lot more, but they're a lot more prominent. They're a lot more well known, so like even if you don't learn it in school, you'll probably learn it like just online, because most kids are chronically online. So at least they'll learn something from the trauma of being on the internet.
I mean, like Maya Angelou's on the quarter now, so that's a big thing.
Yeah, $quarter, yes.
What?
Oh, that's really cool.
I need to get a quarter. I need to get a new quarter. That's going to be the hard part.
Yeah.
So it looks like we only have 4 minutes left.
Yes. I know I've got the countdown as well. I don't know how much it costs for premium. Well, thank you guys for coming on and joining us. We obviously, yeah, we obviously can't speak from experience on some of these topics. So it's good to have people who can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the end of the episode. We got 3 minutes left. So we are Manic Panic Podcast on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or Manic Panic Pod on Twitter.
Manic Panic, just Manic Panic on all podcast listening
platforms. Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I guess we will say goodbye.
Yep.
So, bye.
Bye.